Hear ye, and welcome to the Royal Geek Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Rollison, also known as T-Roll. And tonight, I am joined by my good friends, first of all, Justin Sandoval, a.k.a. Sandy. We also have Anthony Amato, who we like to call Shamato, and the one and only Applezack's Zach Markham in the building. Boys, how we doing tonight?
Great, man. It's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Yep.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Look at that guy. He's a rookie over here. Doesn't he have his
going
mic
on
turned
over there,
on?
dude?
He has his mic turned on.
I accidentally turned the mic off. Oops.
He's not ready. He's not ready for the pod.
We're not starting
No,
over.
why would we?
Yeah,
Why
dude.
would we?
Yeah, keep
It's
it
like
in
it's
there,
his
bro.
first time.
Candid.
Keep it in there.
Keep it candid.
Yeah,
I remember
bro.
my first time.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, tell us about it, dude. How was it?
It was in a cold, dark basement.
Oh, no.
It actually was.
It was. It really was.
This was like my first time.
First time on the microphone, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. All right, boys, we're all back together. I think we haven't been together for a while now. Every week somebody's missing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
So, but we're the whole squad is back together.
For now.
For now, we did go and watch Guardians of the Galaxy yesterday.
Yep.
Guardians
Yep.
of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Yes, sir.
So, big shout out to everyone who's watching, everyone who's listening. We will get to the review here in a moment, but we just want to thank you for tuning in. We want to encourage you to please subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen.
Please.
Share the podcast with your friends, and follow us on social media at Royal Geek Pod on your favorite platform. Please follow us and, help us to, expand the fan base.
That's right.
Help us to
Absolutely.
grow. We all want to go full time in this,
Yes.
So it's,
Yep.
Well,
we're
part-time.
we're a long ways away from that.
Long ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So here we go, boys. Volume 3, Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 3. Here's your spoiler warning.
Here it is.
So if you haven't seen the movie yet, please hit pause, go watch it. But man, what a ride!
Yeah, man.
Yes, I agree 100%. What a ride, man. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, it was. I think it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think a satisfying ending to this Guardians saga, this
Yeah.
trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much so. I think for once, so I think we all saw the promos and everything like that, where they're usually like just this overblown extra amount, and there was one that just kept on pushing the whole idea that it's the best Marvel movie since Endgame, and I think for once that was a true statement. Like,
Oh, yeah?
It was. I feel like for once that was not an overblown statement that they were just trying to grab at something that it was a phenomenal movie. And I understand if other people rank maybe one, maybe two movies over it the most, but I mean, it's definitely like right there, as the best movie since Endgame.
Now that's a fun discussion
Well,
right off the jump.
You know what? The funny thing is that it's not that high of a bar to clear, in my opinion. It's really
No,
not.
it is. It is because it's top heavy. The bar is top heavy with like No
No
Way
Way
Home
Home.
and Shang-Chi
Shang-Chi that was phase
since Endgame.
Yeah, it's been since Endgame.
Yeah.
It is a high bar.
That is
actually.
one. That is
Wakanda Forever
that and probably Wakanda Forever are the only two that I'd be like.
and No Way Home.
I mean, No Way Home was really good, but I probably would say
This
Well,
one.
I
better.
guess when I said No Way Home consensus, there'd be a lot of people who would say,
true.
yeah.
Okay.
But,
Yeah.
All right.
but that is a fun discussion. I mean,
Yes.
we just rank it right.
That could be another pod.
Yeah.
Actually, we're just going to scrap this review. No.
Yeah, actually, hey, you know what? Start it over. No, man. I mean, it was good. It had all the classic, just from the soundtrack to the well-timed jokes.
Yes.
The humor was spot
Yeah.
on.
Yes.
It didn't
Yeah.
feel too forced. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe like one or two forced jokes, but other than that, I feel like the jokes were very consistent,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
they didn't really take you out of the movie. And
And it emotionally destroyed you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
multiple
exactly.
times.
And
Yeah.
Shamato, you mentioned the trailer, like hyping it up, and it actually
Yes.
like stuck to it. The trailer also like kind of set a tone, whereas like for example, like Ant-Man and Quantumanium, it set a tone, it didn't follow that tone.
Yeah.
This one set the tone in the trailers, and it actually maintained that tone.
Yes.
Which
Yeah,
I
it
really,
did.
really appreciated that one for sure.
Yeah, while still giving you so much humor and fun and just classic Guardians nonsense. You know.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It was very fun to watch. It was very fun to see like all of the characters in this series. Like I would say, like at their peak. You got a lot more content from Drax. You got a lot more content from Mantis and everything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
as
Mantis was good.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
as far as like the storyline and the plot and everything, it was so easy to follow along. It didn't jump around too much, and then whenever it did jump around, going back and forth between what's happening in the present and what's happening with Rocket, I feel like they did a very good job transitioning that back and
Yeah.
forth.
The balancing act.
I
was
agree.
Well done. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I think the way they did Rocket's flashbacks while he wasn't conscious too,
Right,
which was
yeah.
Yes.
kind of a unique way to do it. I thought was really it kept the story going without giving you the entire. They could have just given us 15, 20, 30 minutes of just backstory right at the front of a flashback.
Right.
But they pieced
Yeah.
it together really well.
They
Yes.
did, and everything that he was dealing with in the flashbacks kind of like paid due with what they were trying to kind of do to
Yeah.
save
Correct.
him. So
For sure,
it
yeah.
was great. Man, it really was a good movie. It was solid, man.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm happy to say like that this was good because I've been so let down by the last 2 to 3 movies or properties, I guess
Yeah.
TV shows too. But I'm happy. I'm happy right now. Like I can't believe I'm saying that right now.
Yes.
Justin's happy. Justin is positive again.
This is Happy Justin.
Yeah, I'm back to being positive now. Let's go.
Yeah.
I did tell a couple buddies of mine who are kind of like low on Marvel right now. I said if I don't come out of this movie feeling like this was like a 80 or higher rating, then I'm done with Marvel. Like
Funny you should say that. It literally got an 80 on Rotten Tomatoes.
yeah, well there you go.
There you go.
Yep.
Which I thought was a little low, to be honest. I thought it was
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, I feel like that was low.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, of course, the audience score is always higher. Anything from,
Yeah.
DC, Marvel. I mean, I'm sure even Star Wars has,
Especially
high
like the
audience
first couple
scores.
of days, people are kind
Yeah.
of like you can almost it's almost like they're like high.
Yeah.
you're like
Well, they are.
like
Yeah.
legitimately
High on some James Gunn, man.
You're getting like that injected into you, and you're like you overinflate the like the movies, even though it actually happens in both ways, where you like overinflate the greatness of certain movies and you overinflate the weaknesses of other movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you push down bad movies further, and you build up good movies even further than they deserve.
Yeah, the audience score was 97, so
That's
quite
awesome.
high.
Yeah.
They were. I think the audience is high on Drax and Groot, Star-Lord, the whole squad.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, there's a lot of different directions we could go.
I feel like there's not that many things that we didn't like, so I feel like maybe we should start there because I do have like 2 things that I didn't like.
Yeah.
but,
Okay, sure.
They're minor. Trust me, they're real minor.
Just talking about Justin being positive, and here we go. He
No,
wants to be
that's what I'm
negative
saying. I'm saying the list is so short. Like, let's get it out of
Sure,
the way
yeah.
now so we can ride this positive train.
again.
all the way.
Okay, let's hear it.
All right, so number 1 for me is Star-Lord didn't even put on a mask or helmet or anything in this movie.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
I
guess
did
it's true.
feel like the space was they played with it a little bit, because Adam Warlock straight up flies through their ship at one point, and they're just like, okay.
That's true. Yeah,
I did notice though. No, I thought the exact same thing. I did notice, like you remember the when they were trying to enter that organic place, there was like that yellow force field, and then it
Yeah.
goes purple. Like when they do a camera angle on Rocket's ship when he gets his punch through the hole in the ship, there's a yellow, like a thin yellow layer. It's like kind of keeping the air out. So
Okay.
I did catch
the air
yeah.
in.
Oh, in. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, so I was nitpicky about that, and then I saw that moment, and I was like, okay. All right, I get it now. But yeah, there's no helmet for Star-Lord. That one, because that could have helped him out when he was floating there in space. He could have just like hit a button
Yeah.
and breathe
Yeah,
oxygen.
where was that?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
He definitely needs to rethink his space travel, because this is the 3rd movie in a row where he's had to have to deal with that situation.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is funny.
Oh man. And then the other thing for me was that dang dude, that's it. Only one thing.
Really, I thought you said you had 2.
Yeah, no, I was just joking. I only had one thing.
I'm trying to think if there's anything I was down on.
Yeah. It's tough, man. It was
I
a good
don't
movie.
know.
It was a good movie. I was trying to hype up like there's so many like I had 2 negative things, but guess what? It was only one all along. It's that good.
The only thing for me is I was hoping that it was going to be more of a tearjerker in the fact
yeah.
that we were going to lose
Okay.
some
Somebody.
characters.
That's
Yeah.
a good point. That's a good point.
And I'm happy with the way it ended. I'm happy, everybody went, their separate ways. But like in reality, like we didn't lose anybody.
Yeah.
No.
There's no stakes.
Like there was no stakes. At least with Endgame and Infinity War, like people were lost.
Right.
And I feel like with this being a conclusion of the Guardians of the Galaxy, like there should have been a couple of characters that met their demise, like in this movie. And I felt like they were more so like trying to put that in, but then appease to the fans at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, you could make an argument like that could be a critical thing you could say about the movie.
That is true, but other than really what they did in Endgame, they don't really kill off characters.
Yeah.
Like unless it's 100% necessary.
Yeah.
And it's villains. The villains, yes, they'll do that with. Although even sometimes they don't stay dead. But with heroes, they pretty much don't. They never really knock them off. Like,
Yeah, it's
unless,
like they'd rather give them a send off than
Yes.
to kill them off, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is what makes what they did with Iron Man so impactful, because they were willing to actually like knock off their biggest property for the part of the plot and for his story to finally come full circle.
Yeah.
But I just feel like it wasn't really in Marvel's world. I mean, I don't think at any point you really were like, okay, I think Rocket's going to actually die.
Right.
If you're really thinking of it objectively from the way that Marvel works, you're not like, okay, so that. But I could have seen maybe they knock off a different character without like this whole time they play Rocket as being the character that you're expecting to lose, and then all of a sudden oh bam, like I could have seen them knocking off Drax.
Well, yeah, it looked like at one
Drax,
point he was getting
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
nailed.
Drax
Yes.
was good.
Nathan
like-
Fillion
bro.
shot him in the chest and
Yes.
the back, man. Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dude,
Yeah.
that worked.
Yeah. And thinking about it, there's only like 4 Marvel characters in the entire like MCU that's actually like dead. Right? Like we got Scarlett Johansson,
Yep.
Black Widow, Iron Man.
You mean like
Yeah.
heroes, not
yeah,
just
yeah,
characters,
like,
main,
heroes.
main characters.
Yeah, main characters. So Black Widow, Iron Man, Scarlet Witch, and Vision, right?
Oh, well, actually, those last two. I mean,
Yeah, those last two are 100% up in the air.
yeah.
But it wasn't the OG Vision.
Right, we're
it's-
going to see like the white
yeah,
vision, yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
the white
that's
Vision.
fair. I mean, you could have a discussion about Scarlet Witch. I
Yeah.
mean, not that he's like super main, but like Quicksilver's gone.
Yes.
Let's not forget that.
Oh,
Who? No.
For different reasons, of course, but like Black Panther's also gone.
Yes.
That's true. Good point.
right.
I'm trying to think, but that is a good. I mean,
Yeah, but I feel like once again that one is
It is different.
outside circumstances
for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
But just in terms of the story, like I'm trying to think of like to your point, Mark. I'm like, who else is actually, who's actually gone? And it's, yeah. I mean,
It's a
this
small
has been
list. It's a
this has
small
been like the biggest thing with Marvel forever. They don't really kill off characters
Right.
too much,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it definitely the trailers did. So I think okay. Here's my stance on it. I actually maybe because I'm a sucker. I'm really happy the way it ended. I'd rather see all the Guardians survive and just kind of go their own way. Like to me, that's like, I don't know. I like that.
Yeah.
But I totally get it. If someone were to kind of put their foot in the ground and say, man, they need to create stakes. They need to make it more impactful.
Right.
Yeah.
They should have killed off Drax or Groot or Rocket or two. Maybe some people might say like 2 of them should have died or something.
Yeah, and see the trailers felt that way.
Yeah, it
the
felt like you were gonna get
the
something
trailers
crazy.
felt that way.
Yeah.
How about the Marvel Misdirect trailer with Nebula carrying Star-Lord and,
Yes.
and making it look like he was dead?
Yes.
But he was
He's
just
just
passed
drunk.
out drunk.
Yes.
And
I was
this-
like, well, that takes care of
That's
that.
great.
Yep. Yes.
Exactly.
I mean, of course. I mean, it was Marvel. It's what they do.
Yeah.
It all of that. But
Gotta love
you-
it, man.
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
You know what? It just hit me. There's something else I wasn't too keen on, actually.
Let's hear it.
Was
Second thing.
how the
Here's the second one.
it just came to me. That Adam Warlock, he was just he kind
The
of
big dummy.
Well, he was a big doofus, really, but he started the whole plot of the thing by just randomly like, showing up and blowing in there and grabbing Rocket, like just
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like it was a little quick jump rather than getting Adam Warlock hatching from the cocoon and like getting a little build up on
Sure.
on that
Yeah.
because we were teased that and we got a little like description like you hatched him too early, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
right? But for him just to jump on the scene and just
And did we get like his empty cocoon in in the background of another movie at some point?
A long
was
time
that Thor
ago.
2? Was
yeah,
that it?
it was. I
Oh,
think
so it would have
was-
been before Guardians 2.
Yeah, I think it was Thor 2, where
Okay.
the end scene was like the cocoon.
Collectors.
Yeah, the collectors
Yes.
and everything.
Yeah. That's a fair point.
And the Howard the Duck thing was there to
Yeah,
like
yeah,
as
yeah.
the misdirect.
By the
Oh,
way, the poker table.
oh
Yeah.
Awesome.
Again,
scene.
there's just so
Awesome
much
scene.
humor. Yeah,
Yes.
there's so much good humor in this. I will say with the start, yeah, it kind of felt like it went from 0 to 100 real quick. You know, with Adam Warlock just showing up, and I'm trying to think. That reminds me of something else where like you almost just. Yeah, it's kind of like in Infinity War, and they still did it well, but like Thanos shows up and he's already got a stone.
oh yeah,
And it's like, oh man, I would have loved to seen that. Like a little bit more of like the beginning of this journey.
yeah.
So it's like in some ways like that, where it's like Adam Warlock just shows up and he's ready to
Yeah.
brawl.
Destroy people.
Yeah. But I guess like in a 2.5-hour movie, they might have had something like that. Really, they needed all that time for that sick hallway scene towards the end.
Gosh,
That hallway
That
scene was
Amato?
nice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cue you up right now. What'd you think of that hallway scene?
I mean, I always love a good hallway scene. So, like, anytime you get to just see, like, the insanity happen like that is just super, super awesome. And, like, I don't know, there's just something about, like, although it was not as much like a normal hallway scene.
Right.
Because usually one of the main reasons why I like hallway scenes is because it's, like, it's a very intimate
It's like one
atmosphere.
dude.
You know, it's a very
Yeah.
like tight. It's very it's
Yeah.
almost claustrophobic in a way.
Yeah.
Most hallway scenes, but that was much more of an open hallway scene. But still, really cool to see like an awesome battle scene.
And the
going.
teamwork and
They
the slow
each
motion.
got
Yes.
their own moment to shine
Yes.
too.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
even though Gamora wasn't like a part of like the team like emotionally, like she still got her time to shine in,
Yes.
in the
Yeah.
fight scene
Just
too.
slaying
which is
folks,
pretty
man.
awesome.
I think with that hallway scene too is they did a really good job like orchestrating it in a way where like you could tell that the battle was brutal without making it like super gory where it had to be like
Yeah.
rated R. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like the what was it like Groot like slinging his like arm through people and then opening up the branches.
The
like
branches?
that's brutal, dude.
That was
Yeah.
pretty,
Absolutely
pretty sick,
savage.
It was awesome.
Yeah, dude.
And Drax like getting to actually like shine in that
Yeah.
scene too. Like
Yeah.
he's Drax the Destroyer, but for like the last two movies and the first part of this movie, he's like the dumb guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But then he actually got to show and demonstrate his
Just how powerful he is.
his furiousness. Like
Yes.
it was just insane.
Yeah, dude, and Star-Lord, I don't know what he put. He was putting like a little bomb or something on dudes' butts.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know what
yes,
that was,
yes.
but it's just
That was like a shocker or something.
yeah, it
like
was
that.
just
Yeah.
that's and then like a bunch of them got close and he like
Hit it.
shocked them all at once. It was
Yeah.
great. Yeah, just that whole scene. You know, do you guys remember what song was playing? Because that's the classic like James Gunn has a song that goes perfectly with the rhythm of the action,
Yeah.
right?
All of his songs
They hit perfectly
every time.
Yeah.
every time. I do forget though.
I'm
Oh,
not
it
a
was.
music-
Oh no, it was Beastie Boys. It was.
It was, yeah.
Was it
That's
Beastie
what
Boys?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. I was about to say Beastie Boys.
Yeah, it was at
but-
the
No Sleep Till Brooklyn.
No Sleep Till Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. It was good, man.
Perfect.
It was
There you
perfect
go.
timing.
Yeah, man. Again, this I need to go watch it again. This, you know,
it's gonna happen.
In fairness, you know, a lot of the Marvel movies in Phase 4, like I didn't find myself going to the theaters to watch again.
Yeah, which normally we did through all the
Normally,
other phases,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, it's like, you know, some of them weren't that good. Where I'm like, I don't really want to go spend money again.
Yeah, just wait until Disney Plus.
right.
Yeah.
But like, I could see myself going to watch Guardians again.
Yeah. It's gonna happen real soon for me.
Yeah.
By the way.
I'm gonna have to because you know my wife. I saw it without my wife.
Yeah.
She was pretty
Pretty pissed.
pretty pissed, dude.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
will be seeing it for a second time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about the villain,
Yeah. Let's do
Yes.
it. Let's do it.
the High Evolutionary, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
He was high.
He was pretty brutal as far as his animal torture.
His
Yeah.
the general intensity of the character was
was there.
phenomenal.
Yeah,
Like he
it was
was,
there.
he was.
He
every
commanded
single
the
time.
screen.
Yes.
He literally had a screw loose, man. Like he was
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
very manic at times
dude,
as well.
he had a. Not only is he a perfectionist, which is, I mean, literally the most perfectionist I've ever seen.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
But he had an
100%.
obsession. I mean, this
Yes.
is really the story of someone who has an obsession that just cannot get over
Like somebody with OCD or something.
Yeah, but like
Yeah.
times a
Yeah,
million.
I say next level.
Like next level.
Like that scene where he's just destroying his own ship,
yes,
just trying to get Rocket.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, it is like, okay, so there's like this personality trait for extremely driven people to where like they can never be satisfied.
Yeah.
And like I think that's kind of what happened to him was he was so driven that there was nothing that he had this goal set in his mind, and everything else went to the wayside as he was thinking about this. And it doesn't matter what else he destroys as long as he gets to this objective. And it was partially his own downfall and everything that happened.
Yeah.
You know, there were multiple times where he could have just been like, backed out and done what he needed to be done. You know, how many times could he have just been like, you know what, you can keep Rocket, like,
right.
and just
I'm moving on to bigger, better things. Like,
Yes.
I don't need to.
like I literally create civilization.
And that's what his like head scientist was trying to say, like 100 times.
Yes.
And he just could not get past the fact that he needed Rocket's brain.
Yes.
So, yeah, man, the obsession he has for Rocket, his intensity, and Justin, you mentioned it. Yeah, as an animal lover, it was like there are some scenes that were, and thankfully, like they didn't show any like true physical
Yes.
torture.
Yeah.
Amato actually watched this movie before us, and I actually asked him like, "Hey, can you
Rake the
Can you
animal
rate
cruelty.
the animal cruelty on the scale of 1 to 10? And you said something, number 7, but you were like, but really for like what your mind, like the way you can imagine what's happening.
Yes.
It was very accurate.
Very accurate. Yeah. And there was just a couple scenes that, like, as an animal lover, like when he says dude, when Rocket just says the word hurts,
Yeah.
dude.
Tearjerker, bro.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Yeah. I
Just-
was,
Pulling the strings.
Just seeing what they look like and thinking about
Yes.
the pain the animals had to go through to get to the point to where they were, like his friends.
Right.
Yeah.
And just like the way that they, even though they were put through those situations, they could still find moments of joy in there.
Yeah.
That were like in their own little group and not be just completely bitter creatures about all
Exactly.
existence.
Right.
And even to the point of not, I guess their naivete of not even like having hatred towards the high evolutionary
Yeah.
and seeing
point.
him as
Yeah.
like their
Like
creator
this,
and like
the scene where we jump in, they're playing tag. Like that was
Yeah.
just like it was a wild scene because
Yeah.
they're dealing with this crazy trauma.
Yes.
And they're having fun with each other as friends. And I don't know. It was a
No, I
weird.
mean, it was survival.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it
just
was
Trauma
survival.
bonding.
even when they're talking,
true.
like even when they're just like talking about their names and like the joy that they're coming up
Yeah.
with coming up with
That
their
was
own
sweet.
names. It's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again,
yeah.
this is James Gunn. Remember, we're doing Peacemaker. And remember, James Gunn can make you feel things for an insect,
That's
in
true.
Peacemaker.
That's right.
Yeah.
right? Ironically, with the same actor
100%.
as the high.
Yes.
Yeah, as a high evolution.
Yeah.
And he also snuck in one of the agents as
yep.
well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's like James Gunn just can make you feel things for like insects, animals,
Trees.
trees.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, in the same way that like Star Wars can make you feel for a robot,
Yeah.
like a droid. It's like, man, you were really feeling for these animals, and then just some of the scenes were just
Man,
terrible.
How about like a shout out to Linda Cardellini here with the voice of the otter, man.
Yes.
She double time in Marvel Universe. She's
Yes,
Clint Barton's wife.
there were 3 people in this movie that had already played a role in the Marvel Universe. That
Wow.
doubled up.
Yeah,
didn't know that.
yeah, they dug deep in the
Yeah.
well and they're
Yes.
like, let's just reuse
Yeah,
these people.
Yeah, because they got Linda Cardellini to play Lila. Nathan Fillion's character,
Yep, he
he had
came
already
back.
been in
Guardians
one of the
1.
Guardians 1, and then Judy Greer was played War Pig, and she's also the
I didn't catch that.
ex-wife.
Of
She's the
Scott-
ex-wife
Scott Lang.
of Scott Lang. Yes.
yeah. How about
Wow.
that?
yeah, good times.
I didn't catch that. That's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the high evolutionary, like you feel for the animals. And again, I think sometimes you have villains that are good. You'll have villains that are good because you kind of either can resonate with their story, like Killmonger, or you can kind of understand their drive, like Thanos or Loki. And then you have villains that are good because, like, you freaking hate them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And this
That's
is
true.
what the high evolutionary was.
I know, and I believe every single one of us here wanted to.
I couldn't wait to see how he died.
wanted to see him get
Yeah.
Yeah.
brutally killed by
So-
an animal.
So not only that, but the other thing I was thinking, I couldn't help but think, but whenever I was watching this, is how does a villain You know, and I understand that, you know, they had to have a villain for the story. But how does somebody like the High Evolutionary go on this long without being like seen by like Captain Marvel or
Yeah.
Thor or
He's-
how is it
great
not
point.
flagged?
Great
I'll tell
Like,
you how. He is. You're gonna like this one. He's in the equivalent, and they explain it at one point. He's in the equivalent of Marvel's Outer Rim.
Yes.
Yep, you're right.
I mean, that is a large part of it. And I think it's also because in a lot of the ways people see what he's doing as because they don't see the inner workings of it. They see
Yeah.
what he is doing as being an overall good.
Yeah, look at all the life he created.
Yes, he's creating life. The sovereign by their own right would be
I guess that's true.
considered as a positive good towards the universe in most terms.
Yeah.
But if you're not seeing exactly, even Counter Earth, you wouldn't say that was a bad thing.
Right.
You would have said that was probably a positive to the universe. It's one of those things where you see a billionaire in another universe where they're evil, but all you can see is like the outer core of them doing positive things, while inside they're doing the evil things.
Yeah.
right, yeah.
And I think he kind of used the first, like the organic organization, like that LabCorp or whatever
Yeah.
it was called. He kind of used that as like the legitimate business, and then
Yes.
all the other stuff was behind the scenes. So it's essentially he had a corporate front, and he was doing everything else behind the scenes, and nobody probably batted an eye
Yeah,
because
and
they
like
saw the
if you-
corporate.
what was coming from that corporate was almost generally all good stuff. It was like creating like basically it seemed like what they were kind of creating was almost like prosthetics for people. So like
Yeah.
or other organisms. So I mean,
yeah.
that would be considered a good thing. It's like you lose an eye or you lose your eyesight, and all of a sudden this place makes your people, gives them the ability to see. So you'd see that as a good in most terms.
Yeah, he's probably, politically just or in the universe, like they just I can't remember what they said, but like they leave him alone. He operates outside of like intergalactic law
Yeah.
or something like that.
Well, they do drop the line. They're like, well, there are people that believe to him, they believe him to be God.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like for like the sovereign and people on Counter Earth, that's how they would see him. They would and that is a force you don't really want to
Mess with,
deal
yeah.
with in a lot of ways. If it's one thing to be rulers over some people, but when you jump that to that level of being considered as a god, that is another level of
Dang, dude.
devotion.
How come Gore the God Butcher didn't just go slay his freaking man?
Yeah, dude.
Because
why
he
not,
wasn't
right?
a real
I know,
guy.
I know. I just don't
Maybe
like
he
him. I just
hasn't
want to see
gotten
him
there yet.
suffer.
Yeah.
Yes. And you got to see,
gotta
although
s-
you see it for a second,
He got work, man.
Yeah,
He
he
got
got
work.
worked at
It
the
is
end.
hard.
Yeah. Well, and when Rocket went to town on his face.
Yes.
Yeah, and we got to see the aftermath of that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you see his little
Dude,
leg
dude,
twitching.
the eyeball, man. How about
Yeah.
that?
Yes.
Yeah, it was great.
It gave me flashbacks of the Dark Knight. Where you get to see the half from
yeah.
Two-Face.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yes, it reminded me a lot of that.
Good point, man. Damn.
Yeah, but even that scene, like Lila dies, and
Oh, that
how
was
did
rough.
how did Teefs and
Oh,
Floor?
the shot, the
The
random
shots from
shots
the other-
fired from
Yes,
the other
yes, yes.
guards.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and there was a moment where before I knew it was Judy Greer, for a second when Warpig spoke, I thought they were gonna put a cruel twist on it, that there was like that they had somehow put the consciousness of Lila into Warpig. Oh
gosh.
And like that,
no.
had like kind of almost like erase your memory a little bit, and he would have had to fight Warpig. Because for a
I
second
kind of thought it was going to come around like that. But
yeah, because I heard the voice and I recognized the voice, and for a second I was like, "Is that Lila?" But then they kind of knocked it off so quickly that I was like, "Okay, it's not that."
Yeah, I guess one thing. Not that I'm trying to think. Now that I'm giving the thought, like it's not that I'm super negative on it, but the scene where like it looks like Rocket's about to go to heaven.
oh yeah,
Here's the thing: anytime you see a scene like that, they're going back. Like
yeah.
anytime you see that in a show or movie, like they're not staying there. Like the character that they're talking to is going to say it's not your time, which is literally
Yes.
Yeah,
what happened.
Yeah.
and
So
it's funny because she pulls a Jaimin Hansu and says, "But not yet." Like,
Yeah.
and she sends him back. That's
Yeah,
so funny, dude.
So and because like it also felt like, are they really going to kill off Rocket without him having a chance to confront the High Evolutionary? It just felt like, I doubt that's
Theater.
really going to happen. What'd you say?
Theater.
Yeah, theater. So yeah, I'm glad the High Evolutionary got his freaking tail whipped. Dude, how about this?
Yeah.
History was made in this movie, guys.
Yes.
Okay.
With the first ever.
Oh yeah.
We didn't need Deadpool to drop an F-bomb. And I kind of like that they did it that way.
How mad do you think Ryan Reynolds is right now?
You know what? There's going to be a meta joke about it.
Oh, I don't know. You
I think so. I think he's going to make
They
a
started
comment.
filming. They started filming it. So
I think they'll have a line about like how Chris Pratt. Yeah, he'll probably say like, how the heck can Chris get to say the first
F word.
F bomb over me? You know, something like that.
Or
He's
maybe
like,
they'll have
you
like
can have the first
maybe they'll have
one,
an
but
an
I'll have the
F-bomb
last.
counter. That'll be like an F-bomb counter in the bottom corner, and when he says it, it'll say 2 instead of 1. He's like,
what?
how did this happen?
Exactly.
He's like, how did this happen?
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
good.
Who beat me to the punch?
Yeah,
That'd be
yeah.
hilarious.
And I love that it was like, see, as a guy who loves a well-timed F-bomb,
Okay.
I love when it's just kind of in a comedic, like, not necessary sense.
Yeah.
And so when he says, open the effing door, but he screams it as he's getting
Yeah.
frustrated, it just felt like, man, that was actually like one of the best ways they could have done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, just grab the handle. Just grab the handle.
Push the button.
Yeah.
He said, it looks like you're pressing the keyhole. Don't press the keyhole. Push the button underneath the handle. And she pushes it. Now what do? Open the effing door. It was so good.
It's good. Yeah.
So it's first ever F-bomb.
Yeah. Well,
but it's not rated R. It's still
no.
rated PG-13.
Yeah, dude.
Right.
Yes.
Well done, Marvel.
You get one.
You get one.
Yeah.
Yes.
They used
And,
it
And
correctly.
especially if you don't use it in the
You-
literal sense.
Yeah, as long as it's not in the literal sense. Correct.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
And Chris Pratt, he was the one that he dropped it. But overall, I think Chris Pratt's performance in this was spot on, man. He
Yeah.
did a
yeah.
good job.
It was very good.
You know something I loved about his performance is that it started out he was extremely sappy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, he was depressed, getting drunk. When he sees Gamora, he like can't focus again.
Yeah. He tries
Right.
way too
He
hard.
tries way
Yes.
too hard. But when he stopped trying to like win over Gamora, it looked like he was slowly starting.
To win
Yeah,
back.
there
over
did
Gamora.
seem to be moments where like there
Good
will be
beats.
little things, even when everybody turns around and she just, although she gives a huge eye roll as she's doing it, she does turn around and join them. But there were also there are moments where you're like, oh, she's not there yet, and you're just like, and you're
Yeah.
almost kind of wondering why. And what the awesome thing is, they kind of give you a why. At the end, they give you a why. Like other than the fact that it's not the same Gamora, but she has created her own new family. Like the way, like
Right.
the joy that she comes back to at the
Ravagers.
end
Yeah.
to the Ravagers, like, and even to the point to where you're like, oh well, Chris Pratt kind of considers himself still be a Ravager in ways, but it looks like in a lot of ways Gamora is more suited for that life, at least in this timeline than Chris Pratt ever was as Star-Lord. He always kind of felt like, even though he was the favorite of Yondu, he never really seemed to fit in with the group. He was always kind of that like red-headed stepchild of the group in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Whereas Gamora seems to fit in perfectly with her
Yeah.
group.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like she has a lot of friends and very close friends. It seems that she was very
Respected.
respected and everything in that group with that scene.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Nebula,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
dude. Like, okay,
Her
Nebula.
progression, yeah.
So I was watching Endgame this past week with a friend, and she made a comment like, "I would have never thought in Endgame like just like how important Nebula was going to be."
Yeah.
And I was
I am loving Nebula.
Well,
right
dude,
now.
it's like she has gone from being like just this like really angry kind of like I don't really care about Nebula to like being extremely important in Endgame.
Yeah.
To
Right.
now like and they started to do a little bit of this in Volume 2 with like giving her some depth, but like man, like she rocked this performance. I
She
thought.
really
Yes.
did.
Yeah, you could tell like with her character, in the past movies and everything that she was hurting. And she felt like she had something to prove,
Yeah.
like within competition of her sister, the brutality and everything she was
Yeah.
receiving from Thanos. To now, like I feel like in this movie in Volume 3 that she's made peace with all of that.
Yeah.
And she was kind of like the glue that kept things together or, around the Guardians and everything and around their base and all that kind of stuff. Where like she's now 100% whole, and she's trying to get everybody else there.
Yeah, and
yeah, go.
oh, I was gonna say the line she says when she wants to give the children like the life that she never had, and she's more focused on the restarting nowhere as a town, as a city and
Right.
stuff.
Right.
Like that says a whole lot from where she started when she was like the angry chaos and death to her sister and everybody else.
Well, there's a line that like just jabs you that Nebula has. And I think it's in volume 1 where she's just like, all I wanted was a sister, and it's like. It cuts you so deep.
It was
and
two.
lets
It was
you,
two.
It was 2. Okay, so but it's just like the fact that like you really get to see under the like because up until that point everything that you had seen was from Gamora's point of view. That
Right.
that they were all very like everything that was happening in that relationship, and you got to see Gamora's point of view, and you're like you understood, and you're like okay, so you were all behind Gamora in this, but you never
Yes.
really thought about the fact that like. Nebula was constantly being tortured during all this.
Yeah.
Like, although Gamora was taking on a lot of mental torture or emotional torture,
yeah.
Nebula was taking all that torture and then being physically tortured as well because
Yes.
every time she would lose, she would be,
Reconstructed.
yeah, she would be,
Enhanced.
quote unquote upgraded.
Yes, that's the word,
Which brought us to one of the funnier parts of this movie. Which they kind of ruined it because they put it in the trailer, but the whole part where like, oh, those. I've never noticed how black your eyes are.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
They were changed out as a punishment. Well, he chose a good set.
yes, the good set. That was so good, dude.
That is good.
Charmer, man.
Well,
Yes.
and something that a slight thing that I didn't catch. Well, okay, so when Rocket comes to and he's like talking on the comms, and she catches it and she's like, "Rocket,"
Yes.
and they're like, "Oh yeah, Rocket's back now,"
Yeah.
And then there's like this weight.
Well, she
You just see
covers her mouth. She's she's overcome with emotion.
she's
And I was
feeling it.
thinking about it. I was like, what is it about Rocket? And I was like, you know what? It makes sense. The
They're
blip.
both torture soul.
Well, yeah,
That too.
but the blip. 5 years. They just had each other.
That's right.
All the Guardians were gone.
Great
Yeah.
point. That's a great point.
And so, like in Endgame, you see like that. They were when they have that conference with that when they have their Zoom call, if you will, with Natasha.
Yeah.
Like they were Rocket and Nebula were somewhere else in the galaxy. And so it's like they had to have gotten close because literally that's all they had.
Yeah. Well, and if you remember, she's all, like she gives a gift in the Christmas special to Rocket.
I don't remember, so you'll have to jog my memory.
She gives him
she gives
Bucky's
him
arm.
She gives Bucky's arm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like, which actually does bring up a good idea. It would be a really cool, maybe if it was only like a short, maybe it's another special. Maybe they make it like the summer special where they just have like a special where you get to see kind of what the two of them were doing for those years to, kind of build their this relationship that they have.
I know.
And what am I going to say? What am I going to say, Justin?
You're gonna say we need a show where it's
In the blip.
In the
Yes.
blip. Yep.
Which, Antonio told me that, shout out Tone, our boy, he heard that, was it, not Deadpool, what's the other one that,
Wolverine.
no, the blind guy, what's his name?
Daredevil.
Daredevil. It started with a D. I
Yeah,
couldn't, yeah,
the
but
blind
apparently
guy.
that takes place in the blip.
Okay.
That's
hey,
one of the
there we
rumors
go.
I've heard.
Let's go. Yeah.
Or that, yeah, our friend
I
shared,
think I
so.
heard that too, actually. So.
I just want something during that blip. But yeah, back to Nebula. That's one of the reasons, of course, the similar backstory where they're being tortured and made better. But
it almost godlike.
yeah, right. But that's one of the reasons she's just was so overcome with emotion over Rocket. So Nebula killed it, man. Again, it's amazing where they've taken her character from and just how important she is now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
Wow. So, okay. Let's talk about some of the minor Guardians.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Kraglin
He's
struggling with
Where
the...
we get an odd, a
Yondu.
completely unexpected
Dude.
Yondu appearance.
Dude.
You
He gives us that smile.
See Michael Rooker again.
Yes. It
Yeah.
was great. I was
good,
so
though.
happy to see him.
His internal struggle, Kraglin. I'm trying to live up to Yondu's legacy and taking Yondu, passing the torch along to him for him to pick it up.
And you just get just another moment of once again, yes, Yondu was more than the character that you see him in the first movie, like, where he's seen as a villainous character in a lot of ways. And he, of course, makes that the huge turn. You get to see, once again, they do a really good job in the Guardians universe in general of, like, turning it and making these characters, you understand the other side. Like, you see the first side, so you get to see Star-Lord's side and how he would feel about Yondu. You get to see Gamora's side and how she would feel about Nebula. And then they just tilt the angle just a little bit. And you get to see, why he was doing this. Why he was doing what he was doing.
It's almost like James Gunn knows what he's doing.
Almost.
Almost.
And
Which
Marvel
gives-
let
which
him
gives
get
hope.
away. How about that, huh?
Well, hey, you know what? They let him get away, but I mean, did he create? Hey, here's a question.
The answer is yes already. I already
Yeah.
was gonna say.
Yeah, is this the best trilogy
Yes,
in Marvel?
hands down, best
I
pound for
mean,
pound.
Yeah,
Has to be, right?
I would say at the very least the most consistent.
Oh, for sure, the most
Because,
consistent.
There's, I mean, truthfully, the only one that can get close would be Captain America.
I was gonna.
You
I
know,
was just about to say that.
Like there,
Yeah,
Captain America, and I would
yeah.
say Spider-Man would be like right behind that.
Yeah, I don't feel the same way about Spider-Man, but I know there are a lot of people who liked all three of them. So
Yeah,
Yeah, but I think-
that's what I
Tell
would
you
say.
what, no, Iron Man's nowhere on the map. I promise
okay.
you
Well,
that.
hey, we'll leave.
Yeah, Iron Man, Iron Man, and
Leave that be for now.
which is crazy because if you were to choose like the two best movies out of the ones that have or best movies that have been out of trilogy, like you got to go. Iron Man would be up there, and then you would have Thor 3 in there. But both
Winter
of those
Soldier?
franchises are just and then yes, Winter Soldier actually is in the conversation.
Yeah.
So,
Well, here's what's-
whereas the others, Thor and Iron Man, are nowhere near the conversation, even
Yeah.
though they each have an elite movie in both of their franchises.
Here's the best thing about the Guardians trilogy. I used to do this. One of my most controversial Facebook posts of all time is I said, I need. You probably remember this, Justin.
Yeah.
I was like, I need you. Everyone tell me which they preferred, Guardians 1 or Guardians 2, but you have to answer it with a GIF,
Yeah.
which is better. Now I'm a big Guardians 1 guy over Guardians 2.
Right.
And so I was expecting it to be a landslide, and it was about as 50-50 as possible.
Yeah.
And here's the thing.
We might be 50-50 at this table.
Well, it'll be 33, 33, 33.
No, what about this guy?
What?
No, never mind.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Never mind. Do I not count?
33, 33, 30. Oh, yeah, he does count too. I guess you're right. I guess you're
Well,
right.
no, sorry. I meant, okay, we're talking about two different things right now.
Okay.
Justin. So I didn't know what you were trying to say.
Wow.
My point is, now that there's a third one in the fold, and it's a pretty darn good movie, I think there's going to be people who are like, well, actually, I like the third one the best. Because it's, there you go. So it's like,
That's me, actually.
Yeah.
which is the elite
I
movie,
mean,
right?
like-
It's
I
not
feel
a,
like it's 2. I'm gonna just say.
Definitely
Yeah.
3, dude.
I feel like I might need a little space, but at the moment
time.
it's 3 for
Yeah.
me. Like there might be a little reason. I am leaving it open for the
all right, we're
possibility
going to have
of
to debate
recency
about it another
bias.
time.
But I mean, this movie was like it
Very
pulled at you
in
multiple ways
if
that I was
nothing-
like, this is rough.
If nothing else, yes, I agree with what you said, Amato. It's the most consistent
yes,
of all the trilogies. It's remarkable.
Yeah. And it's got its own special.
That's right. Yeah, that's true.
It's got
That's
something
true.
special.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's a good
Which-
point. there,
With Kevin freaking Bacon.
yes.
Oh,
Kevin
yeah.
Which
Bacon,
they
dude.
even had. Like, I like the fact that they dropped it in once.
Yeah, they dropped
like,
the hand in there.
Hidden here and there about it. Like at the very end, or in the end, it was in
Post-credit
the mid.
scene.
Yeah, the mid credit. Yeah, where it was the actual like end credit. Yeah, where his grandfather's reading the newspaper and it says
Kevin Bacon
alien
tells all.
abduction.
Yep.
Kevin Bacon.
well, how about this? Good transition to, we didn't finish the Minor Guardians.
Oh, yeah.
So Cosmo,
Hey.
we got a lot more Cosmo than I was expecting.
Yeah, he is a
Yes.
good dog.
He is.
Yeah.
She is a good dog.
No, it's
No.
a good boy. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's
Because
Is
he
it?
said bad. Well, no, he might have just said bad dog. What did he say?
Yeah, he said bad dog.
bad dog. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so he is Cosmo a girl.
It was definitely voiced by a female.
That's true. So it's probably.
but
But I'm
who
pretty sure they
knows?
said he, though. I'm pretty sure.
That's what I
Yeah.
thought. Either way, Cosmo was a good dog.
Yes.
Gender neutral.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I mean, Cosmo.
we
was,
won't get into that.
Cosmo was quite interesting.
Dude.
I felt like there was a lot of characters that were even the minor ones. I feel like got their own little spots.
Absolutely,
yeah.
they did.
It was nice.
Yeah.
Cosmo got a dog playing poker scene. Like that's
Yeah.
So at the poker table,
Yeah.
Kraglin, Cosmo,
Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck.
Yes, Howard the Duck, the original, the merchant that
merchant.
where they run into.
Yes, from Volume 1.
Yes, from Volume 1, and then there was one more
band member from the
Yes,
holiday special. Yeah.
yes, he was there too.
The lead singer. I think it
Dude,
was.
again, we didn't even talk about like the funny beats here. So okay, all right. Was that all the minor? Is that all
I
the
mean,
Guardians?
I guess now you can count Adam Warlock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Adam Warlock had a kind of dumb start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which they played it off with he's still a child. Like
Yes.
they said
Right.
he's hatched from the cocoon too early.
Yeah.
He's not fully developed. He's still a child.
But then
And then-
eyebrows though.
Wait, and then that's true. But
Yeah.
and then Nathan Fillion was like, "Yeah, I got one of those too."
Yes, that was. I'm not gonna lie, that was a pretty funny
Like throughout the
It was
movie.
like, it was like
Yes.
a running
Yeah.
bit there.
Yeah, that was
for a
really
minute.
good. But something we said in the car last night, Justin, off the pod, and we're bringing it on the pod. It's like
It's canon now.
It is.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, the way James Gunn kind of like it felt like there was like 4 or 5 different moments. Like you knew that Adam was going to turn and come to the light.
Right.
But it's like it felt like, all right, it's going to happen now. Oh no, okay, it didn't happen. And then a few minutes later, it's like, okay, now's when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then it didn't. And then okay, now is when it's going to happen. And it still didn't. And then finally Groot saves him, and he's like, "Why are you saving me?"
Right. Exactly.
And
Yeah.
it's like, and that's when he
He's
turned.
like,
Yeah.
I'm Groot. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
And then
That dude should have died like 7 times.
for sure, dude, for sure.
Yeah.
But when Star Lord is out in space and just totally should
yeah,
die,
yeah.
we get like the greatest like Adam joke.
Oh well, yeah. Oh really? 100%.
Like so, Adam's like pointing his little finger out, just like in that famous
yeah.
Yes.
The painting. The
painting. Where like Adam and God's fingers are about to touch, and like Adam just just do this little finger.
Yes. It's
It's
great.
like
Yeah.
totally not necessary. It's like, dude, get his butt inside
I
as
think
quickly as you
I think he
can.
was pushing the Zune back into his hand is what he was doing, and then he like grabbed him and went. But
Yeah.
no, that was like it was a
a
very
great joke.
subtle
Yes.
joke that
But-
that hit for me.
But there was also that moment that was the moment where I knew Gamora wasn't coming back for sure. Like you knew, because I feel like if they were gonna have her come back, that
She
was
would've
the
saved
moment
him.
that she saves him.
yeah.
And it didn't happen like that.
So when and yeah, that's true. And earlier when he saved her, and remember when he's like laying on top of her and he's like smiling, I thought she was gonna push him off.
Yeah.
And she just gave him a big old
She
grin.
Yep, she smirked.
Hey, if
She
that
did.
if they had more time, there might have been a kiss there. That's all I'm saying.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe,
We'll
but
never
there
know.
were a bunch of moments where she had the opportunity to like give in, and they didn't quite push her. Like
No, but
now,
she,
now
but you
there
know
is
what
a possibility.
She would do? She would like turn away, but she's like grinning,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, there was that kind of stuff, but then there was that stuff. There was the moment where she was on top of her, and then there was the hug moment, and she does not join the hug.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
She walks away.
But she still had a look, even though it was from a distance. The body language was like, I'm not ready for that, but that seems special. You know, like that's what she was
Yes.
maybe saying.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's everybody. All the Guardians. So comedic bits. Anything? We only got a few more minutes, and then we'll talk about the ending. What were just some of your favorite laugh out loud moments?
I think for me it was Mantis and Nebula arguing about how Drax is stupid.
Yes.
And then
You think I'm stupid?
yeah, you think I'm stupid, and then Mantis makes him forget. But if you remember earlier on in the movie, Mantis says you don't use it on your friends, like you don't the mind trick. And then she did. She used it on Drax, and
I mean, there's always that thing though. Is like you say you don't use it on your friends,
Mm-hmm.
but how the hell are they supposed to know the difference?
yeah.
yeah, great
Yeah,
point.
exactly.
Great point. And I mean, sometimes you got to lie to protect your friends. Sometimes,
Yes.
Dude,
So
speaking of Mantis, when she's with Drax and she tricks the guard
Yes,
into
then-
falling in love with Drax. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
what was
Incredible.
I think was even more hilarious about that is that they alluded at the fact that she does this like every single
Like a lot.
time.
Yeah, it's
like
numerous
this is a
where
running
Drax
joke
is
for
used
them.
to it.
Yeah.
He's not
Yes.
even getting angry anymore. He's
Yeah.
like, yes. And he's like just all subtle and quiet.
Like he just
man.
he's just like, oh, it's like she does it every single time. It's like it'd be like if you walked around and like you walked around with your grandfather and everywhere he went, like he asked somebody to pull his finger and you're just like, oh,
yeah, here we
Oh,
go.
yeah.
And how about Mantis when she's freeing like all the children? She pulls at one gate and there's that like disfigured looking thing, and she screams.
my gosh.
And she's
Yeah.
like, no, not screaming at you. I'm screaming at something
Person
behind
behind
you.
you, there's
Yeah.
nobody there.
Yeah.
Yeah, which way?
And that thing spoke English too. It's
Yeah,
like, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Which way?
Yeah. So Mantis had a lot of hits this one. Like,
Drax. Let's talk about Drax, man.
Daddy Drax.
So
Yes.
there you go. So he has always been funny in every movie.
Yes.
Right.
And I love that they gave us. I love that they gave us a like kind of like a meta joke in some ways about the about like metaphors and and analogies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because in Volume 1, where he was like, what is it? Is it Star-Lord said analogies go completely over his
your
head?
head,
Yes.
yeah.
And he's like, nothing flies over my head.
Yeah.
My reflexes are too fast.
Yes.
To catch it. You know,
Yes.
like so Drax has always been funny. Volume 1, Volume 2, Infinity War.
Yeah.
He's always been funny.
How
But I felt like he was like even funnier in this movie.
for me. For his joke for me was early on when he was eating the snack and he offers
Zarg
Star-Lord.
nuts?
Yeah, the Zarg nuts. And
Yes.
then they're like, well, you didn't offer me one. He's like, I'm all out. And then the slow.
Take another bite. Or how about when they
or when they're in the house and he like just
Yes,
keeps
the
somebody to
couch.
lay
Oh,
down.
Yeah, dude.
he's like, why is there so much space? It's so oblong.
Yeah. If they would have did it one more time, I probably would have been like, they're pushing it too hard.
Yeah,
but
but
I
even
think
the way
they
that he was
timed
at
it.
his like third attempt, he was like slowly turning.
Drax, I see you over
Yeah,
there.
exactly. I love, and I'm going to butcher what he said. Maybe if you guys remember, but when they gave the uniforms earlier, and he's like, "It's not a good color for me. It doesn't complement my eyes."
Yes.
Yeah.
That was pretty awesome. That was pretty
and then it
hilarious.
pays off for even more when they're lined up there, and Nathan Fillion's questioning them. He's like, "We're just normal construction people in
Yes.
in colors. Some
Yeah.
match their,
Totally
they
believable
don't-
out the tire
Yes.
or whatever.
that goes
That
with their
does-
skin complexion
yes.
a little more."
Another thing that I loved about Mantis was how like hilariously clumsy she was.
Oh yeah,
Like the time that they fall into like that pit and she just like annihilates her neck.
every time, dude. There was like at least 3 or 4 times where she.
And if you're
Yeah.
paying attention to the space scene when they're coming into the the living like base,
Yeah.
the organism, and she's just like everyone else is kind of like moving in a uniform fashion. She's just like literally just like spinning around, and it's
Yes.
just like
Yes.
it just like the it's almost like a childlike wonder / a like a complete and utter clumsiness that she just
Yeah.
has.
Absolutely. Gosh, man, this movie was so much
So
fun.
good.
They're
It was
always
so good.
fun like this too.
And then, I mean, give a little bit of love to Groot too. I mean, he did his own
Yes.
this movie too. We didn't talk about too much.
And then
Well, it's
apparently he can say other things.
Okay,
that-
I got a theory about that.
Go ahead.
Oh,
I think
probably have the same theory.
it probably is. I read it. It's not my
You did?
theory.
Oh, okay. No,
Did you come up with this on your own?
I did. Yeah,
You genuine.
This is 100% genuine.
Okay, then you go. You deserve to say
the
it.
genuine. He says, "What is it? I love you guys," or something like
Yeah.
that, right? And Gamora had the thing going, like, "How do you guys understand him? How do you guys understand him?" And then like she finally understands him, right? Well, it's because like Groot kind of like accepted her, and she accepted him. Well, it was the last sent off the audience, like, we understand Groot now, and he's actually just said, "I am Groot," but we finally understood him.
Yeah.
Before.
Yeah.
I just read that. Maybe it was Justin posting it online.
But
Were you on Reddit last night at 3 a.m.?
not at all. Not at all. But yeah, I thought
yeah,
that was
that's a sweet
nice touch.
Yeah, and it's tough with Groot. Like comedy for him. It's like it's rarely when he's speaking, right? It's like doing other things like that one in Volume 1 when he like killed all those people and he's like throwing them,
Yeah.
and then he just turns to the camera and just smiles.
It's cheesing,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, like that's
Well, when he's speaking, it's all about how people are reacting to it.
correct.
Right.
Like when he says when he's a teenager and he's like, "I'm Groot," and then everyone's like, "Whoa, whoa!"
Yeah.
For all we know, that could have been the first use of the F-bomb in the
That's
MCU.
true. Very true.
That is true.
Or when when Groot was talking about touching.
Early
in the movie?
Yes. Whoa, not like that, Yeah.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
But then when they tell Groot to go, somebody tells Groot to go full kaiju, and he gets like all monstrous and big
Yes.
and
Oh,
counter Earth.
yeah.
And then Star-Lord's like, not full kaiju.
Dude, again, it's just such a good movie, man.
Yeah.
I can't- yeah. If you don't like this movie, I think I don't know. You got some problems.
Probably a DC fan.
Jeez, Markham.
All right, let's talk about the ending.
Yeah.
So Gamora. All right, so Gamora goes back with the Ravagers.
Yep.
Um,
Embraced by Stallone
Yep.
himself.
Yep.
Yes.
Nebula's going to lead this new city with a lot of new inhabitants.
Yes.
Animals included.
Drax is going to stay there and help her because he speaks the language of all those children.
Yep.
Rocket and Groot are still going to do the Guardians thing, but I imagine
with Kraglin,
With
Cosmo,
Kraglin,
Adam
Cosmo.
Warlock, and then one of
and this
the
little
new
girl.
little girl. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so in my head, my headcanon here is like, I'm just imagining.
Philo Vel is her name.
Okay, we might not ever get like shots of this new city, and like they might not ever give us much more of like the Guardians now. But in my head, it's like, okay, the Guardians, they just kind of their base is still nowhere.
Yeah.
And they're still
Yeah.
around, but they're also like they're
working.
working.
Yeah, they're doing their thing.
So Star-Lord goes to Earth. We'll talk about that in a minute. Real quickly though, I guess I wasn't expecting Mantis to just kind of be like, I'm gonna go on a journey too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
So
but,
I don't know.
Yeah.
But it kind of makes sense though, because she's right. She did everything Ego wanted. She did everything that the
Guardians
wanted, and then she needs to find herself, man. And I thought it was a big step when Drax said, "I'll go with you because you need protecting," and she's like,
Yeah.
"No, I need to do
That's
this
my
for
point.
myself." Like, yeah.
Yes.
And like now that she has those, what are those called? Those big
those
monsters.
yeah,
Yes.
that's cool.
The squid-looking things.
A bunch of teeth.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it makes sense. I mean, a part of me was like, maybe go with Peter or something like that, but just because your brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I think her being independent is a good
it's
thing.
kind of a cool little
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, for
Okay,
sure.
but then Peter,
Yes.
he goes to Earth. We had a great scene where he shows up at his grandfather's house. His grandfather embraces him. I mean, just imagine
Oh, I know how
Like,
long. Yeah.
how
Yeah.
long it's been for his grandfather, and maybe like the regret he's had at yelling at Peter,
Yeah, I mean
The
the
day
last
his-
the
Yeah.
last thing that he says to his grandson.
and then his grandson's gone.
Yeah, like I mean, like they literally state he loses his daughter and his grandson on the same day. And especially with the way that he, like the lack of like conclusion,
Yeah.
and like clarity in knowing for so long what happened to your grandson.
Exactly.
Because it wasn't like he was knocked off and like outside of the hospital or anything like that. It's literally you have no idea. This child
Yeah.
has literally disappeared. In a lot of ways, he probably feels like he has let down his daughter
Yeah,
in so many
absolutely.
ways, because
Yeah.
I'm sure he was going to be the one that was going to be taking care
yeah.
of him that whole
Yep,
time, and
yep.
like he has all this regret probably for what has happened in those
Yeah.
situations.
Oof.
I've always wanted to see Peter back on Earth, and I know we got it in Endgame, but
But
let's just be real.
It wasn't the same.
No, it's
No.
I've always wanted to see him just like doing normal things on Earth,
Right.
right?
And now we will. I mean,
Now, like it ends at the very end. It says the legendary.
Star-Lord.
Wait for it, legend. Wait for it. Dairy Star-Lord will return.
There you go. I'm okay with it. I think it's going to be.
Absolutely.
I think it's going to be something Earth related, obviously.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be good to see, because we only seen him in the cosmos. We never
Yeah.
saw him actually doing
Didn't-
Earth things.
Okay,
Didn't we see him? It might have been in the Marvel What If series where he was like a.
He was
like
a janitor.
Yeah, he was a janitor or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
well, it
we'll
is
see him
funny.
get a
Like,
job,
what's he
man.
gonna do for work,
Yeah.
right? All right, so here's something to think about. Let me think. How do I say this? Okay, so like Captain America led the Avengers for a long time.
Right.
Iron Man, they had like a little. They sparred for a little bit.
Yeah.
There's always been kind of thoughts of like who's gonna be the next leader of the Avengers, and there was a lot of theories that it was gonna be Black Panther.
Yep.
And now, obviously, with Chadwick Boseman passing away tragically, it feels like they're going to go a different direction. Some might say it could be Spider-Man, but also the whole world just forgot who Spider-Man is. Doctor Strange seems like a good candidate, but he's not even the Sorcerer Supreme. The point I'm trying to make is,
They need a better.
why not Star-Lord?
Yeah.
And here's how
Yeah.
it'd be so perfect. Is like, whenever there's like a big thing that's coming up, Star-Lord just like, looks like you guys could, kind of pulls a Loki. He's like, looks like you guys could use some leadership. And he could just like kind of arrogantly be like, I was leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy. And,
Right.
And they
can
drop
see it.
like the recurring joke. Who?
yeah.
Like
Guardians of the Galaxy, man. International Outlaws. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, so it's like, I think they can do some fun things with like whenever he decides to enter back in, or whenever somebody comes to recruit him. I think there could be some really fun banter with like him kind of puffing his chest out once again, just like he did with Thor,
Right.
Yeah.
just like he's done with Rocket, about like who's going to be the leader, So I think we'll get something like that. It's too early to speculate.
Well, and plus, Disney's smart. Like they said, specifically, Star-Lord will return because I mean, Chris Pratt is that guy right now.
Yeah.
Like why would you
They don't
put
wanna
him
lose
to
him.
the side? Like
Yeah.
he's somebody you want to have.
unless you're
around.
gonna give him like a heroic death, which they could have,
Right,
and they chose
could
not
have.
to.
They could have, yeah.
Like they need to milk that cow.
For sure, absolutely.
And I think they will.
Yeah.
And putting him back on Earth allows that to happen.
Yeah, you get new dynamics. I mean, the post
Yeah,
credit scene
imagine
alone,
him
with the
dude,
mowing the lawn
Dude,
conversation.
Just imagine him. Yeah, that's true. Just imagine him and I think you said this last night, but like Scott Lang, just kind of like
Yes,
maybe
yes.
like having a little banter about like, who's got the cooler powers or who's got the cooler suit.
Yeah.
Which, to tell you the truth, Scotland, it would be an interesting idea for them to put those two together because he is from Missouri and Paul Rudd is famous for being from Missouri. So that'd be an interesting little
really?
side note
Yeah.
to put in there and to have
Right.
Scott Lang be somehow back there for some reason or something like
So
that.
here's my speculation.
Let's hear it. Come on.
All right. So Star-Lord has to go out and get a job.
Yes.
Baskin Robbins is hiring.
Baskin Robbins.
All right.
Yeah.
Scott Lang has to train
Yes.
Chris Pratt.
Yes.
There you go. That's
You
it.
heard it here first, people.
That is good. I think it actually would be a fun place some wagers on. Okay, what is going to be the next time we see Star-Lord? Like what's the context?
What if you were to get recruited by Sword? Or something
Yeah,
like
it
that.
makes sense.
Yeah.
He has
Like,
space
I
experience.
mean,
so.
you think about okay, he'd be a perfect candidate for that situation because I mean, he instantly has this credibility for living in space for most of his life, and they
Yeah.
need people who
And-
they can. They would just have a general probably trust more for someone from Earth.
Yep.
And then there aren't very many people from Earth who have actually been to space.
Yeah, and Doctor Strange. So Spider-Man would remember Star-Lord, although Star-Lord would. Wait a minute.
Star-Lord would.
Wait a minute. Would
Right?
Star-Lord remember Spider-Man because he wasn't on Earth, or how does that spell work?
Is it only Earth related, or is it?
I believe it was Earth related.
I guess we would have to listen to
The wording.
the wording of it.
I think everybody who was not on Earth at that time will remember who he is.
So that means probably Thor would too, though.
I think Thor.
Star-Lord.
Any of the Guardians, of course.
Yeah.
Dude, Star-Lord's gonna blow his cover in a comedic way in the future. I'm calling it now.
If that is how it works, that would be hilarious. Like he's just like in line somewhere. He
Peter!
He ends up in like Boston, and he's like at a Dunkin' Donuts, and he's like calling him out
Yes.
from across the.
Yeah, but he calls him like the wrong name. Like you're that spider kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That could be.
He
good.
calls him like Ant-Man. Which would be hilarious because everybody always
The reverse.
reverses it.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
calls never knows who Ant-Man is, but
Yeah.
he knows who Ant-Man is, but
Exactly.
doesn't know the name of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So like Doctor Strange would also remember Star-Lord.
Yeah.
And I imagine at Tony's funeral, like it wasn't all just quiet. Like, people were talking. So, I bet there's going to be some fun. I can't wait to see how they bring it back in. And it could be, that could be 3-4 years from now, whenever
yeah,
something
that's
happens.
true.
We have no
Yeah.
idea. But I love how they set that up. They said he'll return. But there's not this pressure to like continue the Guardian saga.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll get some cameos. That would be cool.
Right.
Rocket shows up to help with a little side mission somewhere in some movie. But the way they finished this trilogy and this saga, I loved it. I freaking loved it. And,
Yeah, it was awesome.
and again, shout out to James Gunn. He's on to potentially bigger and better things.
Yeah,
It's hard to imagine that, but I mean,
Well, no, he is on the bigger thing because
We'll see.
the characters he's going to be dealing with are far more superior.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
I said
Justin.
the characters
Yeah, we'll
are
see.
far more
Justin, calm down.
superior.
We'll
Calm
see,
down.
Justin. But no, James Gunn created a wonderful trilogy for us.
Yeah.
So freaking loved it.
I'm
All right,
excited.
boys.
I'm
Last
excited.
call. Anything else you guys want to say?
One last thing I will say is that we need to get a Star-Lord and Ant-Man conversation going, and it's going to be like a situation is going to happen, and Scott Lang's going to be like, he's like, I know a team that can come help. He's talking about the Avengers, and Star-Lord's like, I got a better team, and like Guardians, and they have an argument about Guardians versus Avengers. Like that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So.
That'd be great.
Yeah, but other than that, great movie, solid movie. It is. I mean, I know it's soon. It just got released, but I'm willing to put it out there that Guardians Volume 3 is my favorite Guardians movie. So
Okay.
Yeah,
Good call.
yeah. I'd say right now probably my favorite as well.
Awesome.
Love that.
That's it.
All right. Well, big shout out to everyone who has tuned in for this pod. We know it's been a longer one, but it was a great movie and deserved the time to discuss it. So, big thanks to everyone who listened. We want to remind you to please subscribe to the podcast. Really, if you want to help us out, share this podcast with another friend of yours who likes Marvel, who likes the Guardians movies. That would be a great way to help us out. So we want to ask you to do that, and then also to follow us on social media at Royal Geek Pod on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Follow us wherever you're at. With all that in mind, for my good friends Sandy, Shamato, and Apple's Axe, this is T-Roll saying thank you so much for listening to the Royal Geek Podcast. We will see you next time, you peasants.